Thank you for joining us today for a digital demo of Meristem Crop Performance's biologicals. Today you'll be hearing from Peter Rusinellis, Vice President of Business Development, and Chad Grip, Founder and CEO of Grip Custom Farming in Illinois. Peter and Chad are going to talk to you today about Meristem's Excavator, strip-till and in-furrow starters, and how biologicals can help you make the most of every pound of N, P, and K you put down. Before they get started with the presentation, I just wanted to let you know about a couple of housekeeping items. On your screen, there's a control panel with a Q&A icon. This is where you'll be able to submit questions at any time during the presentation, and we'll be taking those as they come in. And if you'd like to ask Nick and Chad a question yourself, Peter and Chad, I'm sorry, please use the raise hand feature and I'll unmute you and call on you. So you can either ask live by raising your hand, or again with the Q&A icon, you can type your question and I will ask it for you. Also, we are recording today's session in the event that you want to go back and watch it or share it with anyone. So with that, I'll hand it over to Peter and Chad.
Thank you very much.
Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
Peter, if you don't mind, I'll jump in, just to explain who I am and what I do. My name's Chad Grip. I am the owner and president of Grip Custom Farming Corp. We're located in Sheffield, Illinois. We run a full ag retail business and we farm as well. We are strip-till farmers. We've been doing it for probably 15 years or so right now, and there's obstacles in everything that we do, and I think we can talk about some of those today. So, Peter, I'll kind of let you explain who you are and what you do.
Yeah, thank you very much, Chad. So thanks for everybody that's joining us. I'm Peter Rusinellis and work here at Meristem Crop Performance. And a little background on me. I come from the Northeast Illinois area as well, not far from where Chad is, but I am doing this now from Minot, North Dakota as we speak. I was up here for some other business that some other customers up here in this geography. So things are a little colder up here than maybe where some of you guys are at, where everybody's hailing from, but it's great to be in agriculture. So that's where I get to spend every day. I'm thankful for it. So grew up in Northeast Illinois. We vegetable grain farm, and so spent my whole career in ag. Spent about 14 years in ag retail, and spent a few years with a crop additive company in the sales territory, working with growers and dealers, and also, in the end, running the sales division for that company. And in the last few months, joined Meristem Crop Performance, and have the opportunity to lead our business development strategy and work with growers and dealers like Chad Grip, and working to basically take the waste out of the channel. Our whole goal is to bring proven products to market in the most efficient manner possible to benefit farm businesses. That's we're about building a platform of products and bringing different innovations and bringing proven products to the market that give value and ROI to the producer.
So today, I think one of our probably biggest topics for today would be high fertilizer prices. We're looking at right now as we go into spring, and this is just a ballpark. It can change by the time we get into spring. We're looking at P and K, potash, DAP, MAP, whatever you want to talk about as far as on the phosphate side. If you want to talk about ballpark figures, we're talking $800 plus a ton right now, and I think it. We've been working on a product called Excavator. Meristem has, and Peter, do you want to talk about? It's actually in the background here. We've got a number of trials this year. We've got, I think, 12 back here that we're doing. Meristem as a company is what doing, Peter? 700.
700. That's right. So yeah, Chad, thanks for that.
Something.
Apologize. So yeah,
something Chad, like that. I think we got a little lag, Peter. Go ahead.
No, as Chad said, the whole idea, guys, we know that nutrients, as Chad said, NPK is off the charts cost wise. And, I was just in a meeting this morning talking about the fact that there's, something that the producer doesn't control. There's certain things, a lot of things we don't control, but definitely there are limited companies that control the value of NPK, our traditional NPK, our nitrogen, our phosphorus, and our potassium products, bulk products we put out there on the field on an annual basis. And with that there's a disadvantage to the grower because it is a limited controlled, and it seems to be that prices fluctuate with the price of commodities. And so obviously the more the value that can get extracted on the acre from your larger NPK providers, they're going to extract as much as they can. And so part of our fight back campaign is to figure out a way to put tools in the grower's pocket, in farm businesses like GRIP's pocket, to provide solutions to the grower to be able to create a more sustainable business that doesn't put as much reliability on those typical NPK products. Now, we're not saying cut out NPK. That's not what we're saying at all. We're saying that there's just a more efficient way to do it, and a way to fight back by utilizing technologies that are really in the biological realm, and the biggest way that a producer can work to take some of that off of the typical NPK providers is to understand and start to utilize some of these technologies in farm operations. And we understand there's a lot of them out there. And us at Meristem, we've just decided we partner with providers that we believe have brought the proven products to the marketplace. And we're really excited about the offering that we have. And as Chad mentioned, Excavator is one of the key products in that portfolio. So Excavator, I'll just talk about it here for a quick second. And Excavator it's a residue manager. So Excavator is a combination of 6 biological products that come out of the bioremediation industry. So they eat carbon. That's what they do. They eat carbon, and the skeletal backbone of any crop is carbon. So when you have residue out there, when you have cover crops that you're terminating, whatever the case may be, any residue that is out there, whether you're in a no-till, a minimal till, a strip-till situation, that residue has valuable nutrients. And our excavator is built in a way that it's actually got a patent pending because of a delivery mechanism that has been put in with this product that makes it truly unique. There's a lot of we understand there's a lot of residue managers on the market. I'll be first one to say that when I first saw this product, I said it's another residue manager. We've seen a lot of residue managers, and the problem I've always had is that they were limited to a fall application, and sometimes that gets done and sometimes that doesn't. I'm sure Chad can relate to that. There's falls that sprayer just never moves good. So a lot of moving parts a lot of moving parts. So it's exciting to see that with the delivery system, the patent pending delivery system that has been able to be formulated in with these proven biologicals, that package has created a product that can be applied in the fall, it can be applied in the spring, and it can be applied with herbicides, it can be applied with nitrogen. It doesn't need it to work, but it can be applied in a convenient manner within your operation, within the farm business's operation, so that it's convenient. But when put out through this delivery system, what makes it unique is it's going to drive those biologicals into that residue, and by driving those biologicals into that residue, it goes to work right away and starts eating at that carbon source, which then increases nutrient availability in season. Simplest way I can say this is, some years we say that my crops were better because mineralization was good. Well, we can't control mineralization. Some years it's good, some years it's not as good. And mineralization is when that residue naturally breaks down and we get more nitrogen release, we get more potassium release, we get more phosphorus and all of our micronutrients. And when mineralization is on our side and it works well, we get more of that in season, and that crop gets to take that up through the roots. There are some years we get that, some years we don't. Some years it's faster, some years it's slower. When we run Excavator in the fall or spring, we actually impact that mineralization process, and we put that mineralization process on steroids. We speed it up, and we make it so that we take the control as the grower. We take the control back and say we can utilize a product like this and reduce that window and control more of that mineralization process, so that we take those valuable nutrients that are tied up that you've put out there and use them in this year's crop. And that's, to me, that's one of the most exciting things about Excavator. Chad, I'll turn it over to you here for a little bit. You can give some of your thoughts.
Yeah, Peter, I think you hit it right on the head. And it's actually, it's kind of the perfect storm right now for the excavator product. If you're doing any kind of minimum till, whether it's no-till or strip-till, what's our biggest obstacle? It's always residue. It's always residue. We're raising 70, 80, 90 bushel beans in some spots. We're raising 240, 250 bushel corn. There's a lot of stuff out there to deal with. Whether you're no-tilling straight into it in the spring, or whether you're strip-tilling it and you've got that nice, beautiful strip, but all of a sudden, you've moved everything that was in that strip to the middle of the row. So when you go, in the spring, like for our operation, we'll strip till, whether it's fall or spring. We prefer to get it done in the fall just because, we're ready to plant in the spring. We're good to go. So in the spring, we'll plant and then we'll run our weed and feed out there. Okay. So we're going to run our pre-plant herbicide, and we're going to run, for our operation, we put on some with the planter, we put on some with our weed and feed, and then we side dress. And our biggest hurdle is the middle of that row. That's where most of our weed and feed's going in that pile of residue. And for you no-tillers, you feel the same, except you don't quite have that pile of residue in one spot like we do in between the row. So what do we do there? Well, we have options in the fall. We can vertical till once or twice or whatever, so that's an extra pass across the field. Or we can start using products like Excavator. And like I said, I think it's a perfect storm right now for what we're seeing right now. For increase the nutrient availability is pretty impressive. And Peter's got some slides. He'll go over that in a little bit. But it's always hard to talk to, like we talked earlier, there's a lot of moving parts in the fall. How many bodies do you have to get to fill all the trucks, the auger carts, the combines, the chisel plows, the strip till bars, whatever you do in the fall, it's hard to find all those bodies. But now I think with this excavator product, it gives us a reason to be in the field. If we're really getting all the advantages out of the extra nutrients we're providing, that's big on an ROI standpoint. And also, right now you can drive around the country. We're Sheffield, Illinois. So if you're familiar with the area, we're 50 miles north of Peoria. We're about 120 miles west of Chicago. We're 40 miles west of the Quad City area. So right now you can drive around the countryside, and the winter annuals are turning the countryside green right now. And in the fall, that's another thing. No, I don't want to go out and spray a fall burn down. I don't want to do it. Don't have time for it. Now, I don't know, with the excavator product out there, we can control our winter annuals. We can start taking care of that residue. We can have some more nutrient availability for spring. So, like I said, it's kind of a perfect storm right now. We've got high fertilizer prices. How do we fight those? We don't want to just keep dumping on dry fertilizer when there's other sources out there, sources that we've actually created with last year's crop. Why don't we use some of those? Why don't we go ahead and control our winter annuals? It's kind of a home run all the way around. What do you think, Peter?
I agree completely. Guys, making sure, because I'm not the most tech savvy, we got this up here, Michaela.
Yes, I see it.
Right,
and I just wanted to jump in with a question that we've gotten from somebody joining us today. The question is, would the application of excavator in the spring be better before or after a vertical tillage pass? Or should the application be made once a certain soil temperature is hit?
It's a great question. Soil temperature wouldn't matter, wouldn't be a factor, because we've got guys that apply it in the fall, all through the winter months whenever it is fit to apply. So the biologicals are encapsulated, if you will. They're asleep, for lack of a better way to say it. And so the same environment that makes seed germinate is when these biologicals are active. So putting it out there when it's cold is no different than having seed in a pro box in your shed. It's going to sit there in that Pro box, and it's going to, or in a bag, and it's going to sit there until it's in an environment where it will germinate. And that is the same when it comes to the biologicals that are in Excavator. As far as the application timing, I don't think you can go wrong there, but I would say that if you can put it in front of the vertical tillage tool, it'll come in contact with the most residue. And if there's any time frame between application of the vertical tillage tool, we find this product actually goes to work pretty quickly. You'll see a difference in residue within about, Chad, 10 to 14 days. I know you had some experience with this as well. That sound about accurate to you?
Yeah, actually, I think, yes, you're right. Actually, we didn't get into it till late last fall. It was right around Thanksgiving, and we sprayed a couple hundred acres, and in those 200 acres, we have a few test strips. And we had a warm stretch. I think we got up to maybe 60, 65 that week, something like that. And within a couple weeks, we could tell to the row where our test strip was, visually. So it was working even in that November, December timeframe. Now, didn't really change a lot throughout the winter, but now some of those fields, yeah, there you go, Peter. Now that we've had a few 60-degree days and even a couple 70-degree days, some rain, it's really changing quick. I have had a few questions. They're like, I've done all my vertical tillage. We even chisel plowed. We don't have a lot of residue out there. Can I go ahead and spray this on before we plant the crop? And now the biologicals are in the soil. So when I combine this fall, they're in the soil and they're going to be eating up the residue. No, that will not work. We don't really get any soil movement with these biologicals. Correct, Peter?
That's correct. We want these biologicals applied to the residue. So I see it as a minimal till. So if you're out there vertical tilling or there's a lot of residue left on top, there's nothing wrong with spraying it on top of that. Otherwise, it's a no-till and a strip-till situation, as you can see in this picture here. This is actually at Chad's farm. The picture on the left side of the screen as I'm looking at it, the left side of that is treated and the right side isn't. And I think this is that part where Chad was talking about where it jumped up into about the 60s for a couple days. We had a little Indian summer in December last year. Yep. And you can see a significant breakdown in that residue already off to the left side of that screen. And then just to give you a visual of that, how that works in that corn stalk, you can see that the picture on the right, that surfactant, that delivery system is what makes that happen. You can see how it penetrates through that stalk, and then you can see it just eats the inside of that stalk right out. And inside there is where all that nutrient value is, and that's what we're wanting to bring available to the crop this year, so you guys can capture that value versus Mother Nature takes its course and mineralizes, and some of those nutrients come available. And when they come available, sometimes you don't have a crop. It could be late August, could be September, and more of those nutrients come available, and you're not able to capture all the value. We're wanting to provide that value in this year's crop. And so just to final answer that question, in front of the vertical tillage tool is great. That would be ideal. But if that doesn't work within your operation and doing it after the vertical tillage tool, there's still going to be a lot of residue, because all you're really doing is just chopping that up. There's still going to be a lot of residue after that, and so it will still provide value post. But if there's any time frame, what we've found, another way that this product provides value is not only we've talked about nutrient release, but when we get in front of, if it's a fall application is possible, or even an early spring where there is some time frame before a vertical tillage pass is made or the planter rolls, is sometimes we find we don't even need the vertical tillage pass. We can actually save a tillage pass, which is, if you looked at, we say that we come up with about $113 an acre in value for this product, and about $18 of that is from a potential that we could take a tillage pass out, because we're increasing seed to soil contact, and with the residue broke down the way it is, it just shatters like glass. There's nothing left on the inside of that stalk, as you can see there, and the planter can roll right through it. So we get better seed to soil contact. We sometimes can reduce the tillage pass, and we increase that nutrient availability.
Great.
And Peter, while we're kind of focusing right now on no-till and strip-till, I've got a lot of guys that still conventional till, and they're very successful at it. So I think there's a place for excavator even in their operation. The big thing is we got guys out there, again, we're raising 240, 250 bushel corn. There's lots of stuff out there. So they're trying to follow the combine with a vertical till, and then they're going out there and chisel plowing it, and they're coming back to me and saying, Chad, we're still not turning the ground black. We're still having problems. We've still got tons of residue in the spring. Well, I think if you've got the equipment or you've got the sources, go out and spray right behind the combine. I mean, right behind the combine, when we still, even in Illinois, when we're in there in September, we've still got some 80-degree weather, 70-degree weather. I think by the time you run your vertical till through it after you're done combine, and then you chisel plow it, there's not going to be hardly anything left come spring. I think it's a pretty good tool even for conventional tillage.
I agree, especially in markets like you said, Chad. We're pushing for yield all the time. We're outside of this, we're big believers in plant health and plant nutrition, and as we do that, and as we put, as genetics get better, and as we put out, we're raising yield goals every year, and both in corn and soybeans, wheat, whatever the crop is. As we produce these higher yields, we leave behind more robust residue. And to break that down is going to have numerous benefits. And I agree with Chad that in a conventional tillage system, I've seen guys where they've gone through and worked that ground, and there's still so much. There's still looks like it was vertical tilled. It doesn't look like it was conventional tilled because there's so much residue for us to work through, and there's just a lot of value in that residue. So this tool is pretty exciting for us to be able to provide to the market.
And I believe, Peter, we are labeled to spray post spray with this, correct? Over the top of corn, emerged corn and soybeans. For the guys that are running cover crops, they're planting in a ton of trash out there. Especially the guys. I know rye can be an issue if we can't get it killed off in time. Some of that stuff, guys are no-tilling their beans into it, and it's 3 feet tall. And even when it's dead, after the beans are emerged, we can go in over the top and spray this product and help break down that cover crop residue, can't we, throughout the summer?
That's right. I was just in a meeting last week with some growers where there's a heavy wheat. There's a lot of wheat in their market, and they no-till the wheat into corn stalks in that market, and they're going to go out with their green up pass and running some nitrogen. And they're going to run Excavator because there's a lot of residue on that. So they're going to run that over top of that growing wheat crop, and we're going to capture more of that nutrient value to that wheat crop this year. And Excavator will not harm a living plant. The biologicals in there are there to feed on carbon, and so it's only on plants that are terminated. So when you terminate if you're making a pass to kill your to kill your cover crop, it's a good time to have Excavator in the trip. Or like you said, Chad, if you're going post on an early post on a crop and it's planted into residue, we're still getting good soil contact, good Excavator still able to get good contact to that residue. There's going to be value there.
Right. And as far as I know, there are 0 tank mix issues. I mean, if you want to run this with your atrazine products, glyphosate products, enlist products, any extend products that might be out there, I think tank mixing is fine. Does not create a problem.
That's right.
We've gotten a couple more questions about application. One of them is, can Excavator be applied with irrigation water in a center pivot?
So I personally don't have experience putting it through, but yes, we have talked as an organization. I know there's some other people that have had experience with that. So it can go through a pivot as far as being applied. So if it's easier to put it through a pivot in the fall, I personally have pivots. I'm very familiar with them. I have some acres I actually farm myself, and one of them is below sand, it would not grow a crop without a pivot. So we grew about 265 bushel corn crop on it last year. A lot of residue out there, and I'm going to use Excavator on it this spring. But to that question, yes, it can go through a pivot, and it can be applied that way to the field, and it has been done.
Okay.
And actually, it's actually funny. Somebody asked that question. In our area last year, we had a terrible wind event. I mean, tens of thousands of acres of corn blown flat. And we actually right here where our home base is, we have a pivot right behind the house, extremely sandy, lots of corn blown down. We have tons of residue out there right now. So kind of our plan for spring is to run Excavator, well, actually as soon as it dries out, and probably again through the pivot. So we'll have a little more information, as we get through the year on how that worked as far as running it through the irrigation system.
There's more credit.
There are a couple more questions if you guys want to take a couple more.
Yeah, I can run through this real
Sure.
quick. I'll shut this down here too, just to kind of talk a little bit more about the Excavator product. These are just some examples I have up here on the screen that just show some of the impacts that we've had where we've applied Excavator versus untreated, and you can just see the organic, it even has an impact on the organic matter. We can actually bounce organic matter, and the reason there's a carbon credits paid number there is obviously we're hearing a lot of buzz about carbon credits, and someday whether that's going to be worth something or not, I think that's yet to be determined. But as we work with this product, it's something we want to measure, and we are seeing a bump in organic matter, and I believe it's for every 1/10 of a pound is a ton of carbon sequestered. So, in Europe, they're paying $140 a ton right now. In the U.S., I think, we're only at about 10 or 20, but that market's growing. And so we do believe there could be some value there in the future. But if you look over at the potassium and phosphorus levels, you can see a significant jump there. The phosphorus being 33.5 there where Excavator was used, and 19 where it wasn't. 34 was used and 18 where it wasn't. And same thing when you look at potassium. That's within this was within 60 days of application, and this application was actually in the fall. And these tests were pulled December 23rd. I believe it was applied October 23rd and pulled. Yeah, it says they're applied October 23rd, sample 12/23. So this is in a fall application in a little bit cooler environment. The exciting thing is when this goes out in the spring, I look at this as a flush of available nutrients that could come in almost like a side dress trip. And when we think about what nutrients are hard for us to access in season, potassium is one of them that we struggle with in a lot of markets. Where I sit today in Minot, North Dakota, they struggle with potassium uptake. Where I sit sometimes in Northern Illinois, they struggle with potassium uptake. There's no place that I haven't been that potassium doesn't become a buzzword when it comes to uptake within corn and soybeans and wheat in season. And this is one way that I feel like we're really going to be able to help address that, get more of that available at the root system, and get more of that uptake. That's just one nutrient. But we're seeing a significant jump in all of the nutrients. But it's just an example I wanted to show here, Kayla, on the screen while I had it up.
Yeah, that's great. To get to a couple more of the questions, Brian is asking, how does this product benefit a recently manured field, and how would you best manage the field?
So we've got it will increase the availability of the manure itself, because these biologicals go to work on that manure source, break down more of that manure into plant available nutrients. So if you're broadcasting that, or if that's broadcast manure, it'd be to go back, to go over the top and broadcast Excavator over that field after application, or whenever it works out, when it's convenient for your operation to do so. I actually have a guy in Missouri that stacks pen pack, and they are going to spray their pen pack as they stack it, and get it to break it down in the pile, and then go out and apply it. And they're planning to also spray Excavator then over top of the residue and over top of their pen pack and manure that they've put out there.
Okay. And then we have two questions from Don. He asked first, won't you damage bacteria when you apply it before vertical tilling your field?
So once it's in the residue, no, we won't damage them. The biologicals, along with, because of that delivery system, it gets right into that residue and it starts to go to work, and the vertical tillage won't damage the biologicals at that point.
Okay. And then he also asked,
quite frankly, Peter, basically, as long as we've applied this to the residue, it doesn't matter how large the residue is or how small the residue is, we're still going to have activity. It's basically when the residue is gone, that's when we lose our activity, and we're done, and we're going to have to reapply. Would that be a correct way to explain that, Peter? We can kind of do whatever we want to the residue after we've applied it because it's in there. It's just when the residue is gone and it's done its job, then we reapply next year. Correct?
That's correct. It's going to feed off the food source that is the residue, and once that's gone, then that'll be it.
Diesel fuel savings.
okay. And then Don also asked, is there any fungi in Excavator for breaking down high carbon residue?
So the makeup of Excavator is 6 different biologicals. We have that. I can try to bring that up on the screen, but they are like I say, they come out of that bioremediation industry. So to what specific, they're all, I know they're different bacillus strains, but they're specific to that carbon reduction. So can't comment necessarily with a certain fungi. I believe it's more biological based, more bacillus based. And like I say, they're specific to carbon reduction and feeding on that carbon source. So they're different than a mycorrhiza or a fungi that might be in the soil that serve other purposes, like nutrient release out of the soil itself, or those kind of things. There's obviously multiple different kinds of fungi and biologicals out there, and one thing that Meristem has done a good job, and we continue to explore, is which biologicals, which products do certain tasks, and this particular product, the task at hand is to reduce that residue and sequester, take that carbon out, release those nutrients to the crop. We have other products we haven't gotten into yet that then serve other purposes.
Okay. If we want to take another question, we have, could you apply it with glyphosate when terminating rye?
Yes.
Okay. And then can the application of Excavator wait until after planting in a no-till environment when putting down pre-emerge herbicides?
Yes, that was somewhat Chad was talking about there earlier, where if you're no-tilling or even strip-tilling, guys will plant into the strip and then spray, a post-emerge herbicide over top of very small corn or small beans, just recently emerged crop. Excavator would still have value in that application because it would come in contact with that residue and still work to release nutrients to the crop.
Yeah, I would agree with that. I would probably, from our operation, if I was going to wait, ideally, if I was planning on doing a pass of Excavator after we plant, I would probably already have a pass done in the fall. Most of our residue problems are really come to head when we're planting, when we're trying to get the ground warmed up, when we're trying to apply a weed and feed or whatever. Ideally, I would love to have that pass on in the fall and have it working, and then again in the spring. If we really wanted to speed things up, a pass on a pre-emerge herbicide program, that'd be fantastic.
I do completely agree. The more time, the better we have for it to provide more value. As Chad said, it's a lot of guys. If you're strip tilling or you're no till and you have the time, I'm a big fan. If you can get out in the fall, I'm a big fan of a pine of dicamba or whatever the product is, so you can have a clean field. There's value in that, and we could probably go down the rabbit hole of why there's value in making sure that your winter annuals don't provide you problems in the spring as well. But that's a great, if you're in a no-till or strip-till environment and you can get out and do a fall burn down, there's value in now excavators will be able to bring about value in that residue breakdown. You're going to get better seed to soil contact. I talked to a grower that put some down in the fall that said that they never were able to strip-till into their corn stalks. They always strip-till their soybeans, and in their soybeans, they strip-till into their soybeans and plant corn, but they can never strip-till into their corn stalks and lay that potash band as they would like to do. They wanted to band it so that they could plant soybeans on top of that, but never could. So they always broadcasted it. They utilized excavator in the fall and actually could take that strip-till bar through the corn stalk residue. And so, what value does that provide? I'm going to say significant, based on the fact that they could place those nutrients more effectively for that soybean crop. So absolutely, if you can get it done in front of, more time, the better. We're going to have more opportunity to provide you more value. But if the only time it works for your operation in a no-till is to go over top of that crop, as long as we can come in contact with that residue, it's going to provide you value, and we won't harm that crop that you're spraying over top of.
Do you guys want to keep going with questions or get a little more of the presentation?
We may want to, Michaela, we could talk about Excavator a long time. I think it's got a lot of value. There's a huge opportunity in using this product. We may want to move on and talk about hopper throttle a little bit so we can fit that in. Peter, what are your thoughts? Would you like to kind of explain what our new planter box seed treatment is and what it does for us?
Absolutely, and those who have questions, we'd love to answer them all. So our goal will be to still do that. So if you're hanging on for questions, please let us get through this a little bit. We'll get back to them, because if you guys understand what we're doing, then we'll have an opportunity to possibly work with you in your operations. So as Chad said, so we've talked about the Excavator product, and we talked about how we feel like that will help fight back against the high fertilizer prices. And as we move forward, whether fertilizers are high or low, commodities are high or low, we believe it's going to be able to positively impact your operation year over year. As we move forward and we talk about Meristem bringing other value to the grower and making it accessible to every grower, is we talk about he mentioned our hopper throttle products. And that hopper throttle system, what that is a talc graphite product. So every grower uses a fluency agent in their planter. And so we have teamed up with Talc USA, and we through a partnership acquired that product, access to that product, and a really good fluency agent. Actually, I'm up here in North Dakota, and that's where I believe the company was originally started, and started by a farmer himself. And the number one thing that matters to that grower is singulation. And so you can bet that if you utilize our hopper throttle system, we will not adversely affect singulation. There's a lot of products out there that are planter box treatments that provide nutrients and different things, but they do affect singulation. So that's something that we take very serious. And so it's been tried and tested by some John Deere dealerships have used it. Some precision dealerships have put it through the testing, and we do very well there. So with that, we believe that talc graphite system is a carrier for new technology, and that's why we were able to work with Talc USA, and why we saw that to be a strategic relationship. Because no different than Monsanto bought DeKalb years ago. They bought them because they had traits they wanted to bring to your fields, and the only way they could do it was to buy a corn company. They needed a carrier. So we believe that new technologies are going to be coming out in this fluency agent space, and so we needed a carrier. So that's why the partnership there and the arrangement with Talc USA. With that, our current product is, we have two. We have hopper throttle and we have REVLINE hopper throttle. And our hopper throttle corn and hopper throttle soybean is those two offerings in the regular. What that is our hopper throttle corn is an 80-20 talc graphite with iron and manganese, and it also has 2 strains of azospirillum. And those 2 strains of azospirillum are nitrogen fixers. And what they do is there's atmospheric nitrogen trapped within the soil, trapped within the air, within the soil. There's atmospheric nitrogen, and those azospirillum go to work to fixate that atmospheric nitrogen that's gassing off within your soil and utilize and make that nitrogen available to that crop. Similar to, we hear a lot about Proven 40 and Pivot and all that, and those are great. I love the messaging behind what we're trying to accomplish. We're all going the same direction, and the more messaging we get, the better to bring awareness. That if you're hearing a lot about that, or you're curious about that, but you don't have an in-furrow liquid system, and it seems how do we capture some of that value with the hopper throttle system that can go on every planter? That's got azospirillum in there, 2 strains that are going to help fix nitrogen and make more of that atmospheric nitrogen available to this year's crop. And that's the hopper throttle corn. The hopper throttle soybean is a same combination, 80-20 talc graphite with the iron and manganese in there as well. And then instead of azospirillum, it has Brady Japiconium rhizobium, which is an inoculant. So it provides you an inoculant for the soybeans. And again, an easy to deliver method. The corn version, just one little box, one little jug, it's very easy to handle. It treats 50 units of corn. The soybean version treats 40 units of soybeans. So tried to, as you can tell, the company was started by a grower. So convenience, obviously somebody thought about packaging sizes, somebody thought about, how it really works out here in the field. And we tried to make it as easy to use as possible. And then beyond that, we also have what we call then the REVLINE Hopper Throttle corn and the REVLINE Hopper Throttle soybean. And the difference there, the upgrade there, is that we have licensed a product through Meristem. That is basically it's a biological PGR. That's the easiest way that I say it is it's a microbes. It's pink microbes in a bag, and it comes as a co-pack. And those microbes, some are specific to grass crops, so that's a corn version. We have some specific to the legumes, so that's with the soybean version. So they come as a co-pack next to the talc graphite package. So if you order the REVLINE Hopper Throttle version, what that's going to give you is it gives you the same talc graphite, azos on the corn, and the micronutrients we talked about, but there'll be a bag with it that treats 50 units of corn, just like the talc graphite. You just dump that into the jug, give it a few shakes for a few seconds, and then add that to your planter box at that time. And what that's going to provide you is, on top of the benefits we already talked about, now it's going to provide you with the ability to have basically an in-furrow root stimulant that's going to help with that early vigor and early root development. That if you don't have the ability to do that with your planter, if you're not going in furrow with a liquid, with being able to provide a PGR or something along those lines that gets you that early vigor, that early root development through this co-pack, we're going to be able to provide that in corn and soybeans. And so there's more technology coming out in that space. So this is something that we're really excited about.
Yeah, and Peter, this has been a really a great product that we offer our customers, and again, it's very easy to use. I mean, that's been the biggest thing. When we have a client come in and they sit down and say, "Hey," we start talking about the Hopper Throttle product. They remember the 1990s and early 2000s where we're dumping stuff in a seed box and we're literally stirring it around. And I mean, that stuff, it was more of an irritant. And I mean irritant emotionally than anything. And anything that's really hard and messy like that to use, at the end of the day, you're covered in that goo. It doesn't cut it. This is really great. I mean, it's just a great way to treat your seed. Again, if you're just using the Hopper Throttle, it's a jug. It treats 50 units of corn, 40 units of beans. If you're throwing the PGR in there, the plant growth regulator, our REVLINE product, I mean, it's a co-pack. And all you do is you just open up the little co-pack, dump it in the jug, shake it up, and you're good to go. Very, very easy to use. It's been a very popular product for us this year.
Yeah, very good. I agree, Chad. Sometimes things are great in concept, And then we get them out in the field and it's a mess. And so guys, operational excellence is something that's necessary for products to have viability long-term. And so when we bring about product ideas, it's got to agronomically be sound, but it's got to work and it's got to be easier for you guys to use, because we know if it's not, it could be the next greatest thing. It doesn't make any difference if it doesn't have operational fit within your operation. So these two products, Excavator that we talked about, and the hopper throttle system, they fit right in with with current farm operations and don't require any really additional investment. There's no additional equipment needed to use to go in furrow or anything like that. So this gives us the opportunity to bring these two technologies to increase nutrient availability, to have an impact on early vigor and good even emergence. You know, a picket fence stand is where it all starts. We got to have good emergence to get off to have a good crop, an opportunity to good crop. You know, we can't get behind in the race right off the get go. So we've got emergence is one of the single most important things, I believe, in successful crop production, and the hopper throttle system and or REVLINE hopper throttle system gives us the ability to provide an impact in that application.
And I think we step back a moment and we talk about the Excavator again, and we team that up with our hopper throttle. I mean, we're setting ourselves up for a really perfect seed bed. You know, a perfect seed bed, great seed to soil contact, all the advantages of the biologicals that are in the hopper throttle, plus the plant growth regulator in the REVLINE. I mean, we're starting out pretty good.
Well, guys, I'll for visual's sake here, bear with me, and I will share my screen again. But just to give you guys an idea. There's a little bit of a picture there. You can see the talc container that Chad's talking about. It's just a normal size talc graphite container. That one there treats 40 units because that is the soybean version. The corn version looks very similar. And I will get you a picture here. There's that pink packet that Chad was talking about to give you a visual. You got the talc graphite there off to the left, and then you see this co-pack of these pink microbes. Again, that packet is measured for the same amount of, you know, that one's the corn version, so that talc graphite treats 50 units. So does that pink microbe pack, and that just dumps into that talc and give it a few shakes and add it. And for those that are wondering, the talc graphite, the biologicals, everything that's in that talc graphite, that has a 2-year shelf life. So this is not something that you got to refrigerate or worry about going bad. That talc graphite container has a 2-year shelf life, and when mixed, when you mix these, you got about 10 days when they're mixed in a concentrated mix, because the talc will take the moisture out of those pink microbes. So that would be the only thing is that we ask you to mix those and then know that you're going to be using it within about 10 days. So, you know, the nice thing about that is that you can, if you've got, you know, you're taking seed to the planter, you can, if you're taking 100 units of seed to the planter, for example, get 2 of these mixed up, whoever's bringing you seed, or if it's yourself, get 2 of those mixed up, get them added to the planter, and off you go. So it's very, very convenient to use. And another thing too on it, we've got some good yield data on this as well, guys. This has been a proven 6 to 8 bushel bump, utilizing the REVLINE hopper throttle system in the corn and bean market, and that we have information, independent studies and our own that show that. So something again that provides a significant ROI back to the producer.
That was something I wanted to ask. How does the cost of these products compare to what you'll get from that 6 to 8 bushel yield bump?
So the cost, depending on the crop, but in today's market, if we end up with a 6 bushel increase on corn, we're looking at a easy 6-7 to 1. You know, we're looking at a REVLINE hopper throttle investment in the $7-8 range an acre, a hopper throttle investment in the $4 range an acre. So again, when you start talking 6 to 8 bushel, the ROI gets up there pretty fast.
We can be 25, 30 bucks easy enough return on investment.
That's great. We do have a couple more questions about the excavator product. And just to remind everyone, if you have questions about anything that we've talked about so far or otherwise, please submit them through the Q&A box, and we'll take those in the remaining time we have left here. So one question about excavator is it rainfall dependent? In other words, does it work with the same efficiency in dry years or low rainfall areas?
So we do need
that's
oh, go ahead. Sorry, Chad, go ahead.
Oh, no, that's a good question. And right now we've got Peter in Minot, North Dakota. I'm in Sheffield, Illinois. Michaela's up by Milwaukee. So probably Michaela and I have the most similar climates, which we have rain and humidity throughout the year. Peter, throughout the year, they're drier in Minot, North Dakota. Warmth and moisture always helps biological activity, but we're still gonna work in the drier climates. And with that said, I mean, we had another question earlier. Can I run excavator after I plant? Yeah, you can, but if you're in a drier climate, and Peter, correct me if I'm wrong, I would rather get that product on earlier than later.
Absolutely. So we do need a little moisture for things to work. So it doesn't need to be a tropical rainforest, but we do need a little moisture. So to Chad's point, we need a little moisture to activate, because like I say, think about if the seed, whatever environment the seed will germinate in, which requires a little bit of moisture and a little bit of heat, that's what's going to activate the biologicals that are in excavator. It doesn't take a lot, but a little bit of moisture, and as we start to warm up, we're going to activate. So if you're in a real dry environment, as Chad said, if you were in parts of South Dakota or North Dakota that have been really, really dry, or you're down in Amarillo, Texas, in the panhandle there where they can get really dry, the earlier you can get on to be able to capture a little bit of moisture will make it much more effective. Versus obviously we're blessed in some markets where moisture is not usually an issue. So in most of the time, I would say it's not an issue, but definitely agree with what Chad's saying there on managing that to where if you're in a real dry environment, the earlier it goes on, the better.
Okay. And then we have a question: does the feed value of the residue go up after spraying if we wanted to graze with cattle after?
So I'm going to first one to admit here on the livestock is not my, I grew up on a vegetable farm, so they kept me busy on my hands and knees pulling vegetables my whole childhood. But what we have found is that I think there was a situation where when applied to a field, the livestock actually went to, when they were grazing, they actually went to the excavator applied areas. Found that the cattle actually went to those areas, and so I'm going to say that was because there was more feed value, or there was obviously the livestock themselves went to that area, so that I believe there was an increase in feed value. Chad, would you have anything to add there?
Yeah, I mean, the grass is gonna, like on rangeland or anything like that. It's a simple fact. Where we have the grass growing faster and it's a little more fertilized, the cattle go to it. We actually fertilize for a cattle farmer here locally that has, many hundreds of acres of pasture ground. And he said it before, wherever you guys fertilize, that's where the cattle go to. So it stands to reason, if we're applying excavator on those acres and we are releasing some nutrients there, it's getting the grass out of the ground faster in the spring. And I'm sure, there's more nutrient value out there.
Yeah, I agree completely. And so that's what I say they were going to that area. And so I found that very interesting. The negative would be if you're going to use it as bedding and you put it out there in the fall and then you go to bale at it, you'll be
Well, that's true. Yeah.
unhappy with the bedding because we're gonna break that residue down so much that those bales will blow apart on you. So that's the only negative when it comes to livestock.
If you're going to bale stocks, don't use it. Wait till you're done baling, then go out there and spray it and eat up the rest of it.
Okay, and then we have Michael who asks, with already having high iron levels according to his soil test, should he avoid considering the high throttle products?
So it depends on, so that's a good question. What I don't know is whether if iron's a problem, this is kind of equivalent to a foliar iron. So when we look at what the value we get out of having iron and manganese in there, those are two nutrients necessary to effectively for that plant to photosynthesize. And so those are typically ones that are more deficient in the crop, especially in soybeans. And so that's part of the reason those were added there, to make sure that early on in that crop's life it had those adequate micronutrients, because they were looking at adding zinc next year. I don't think that it's going to provide a negative. If you've got high iron, it just may not provide you as much value, if iron is something you have, because it's a minute amount that's at the seed, and it's the purpose is to really help provide nutrients for immediate plant growth, immediate root growth, and again have the ability of that plant to be photosynthesized and at full capacity. And there's more nutrients than that we want to add to this mix. It's just, again, it's coming in over time as we make sure that we don't discount singulation.
Okay. And then someone asks, can you speak to the changes to the foliar REVLINE product offerings?
Within our other offerings that are in season?
If this person wants to type another question to clarify, we can answer that, it sounds like. So we'll leave that one outstanding for the moment. And then just one more time for somebody who missed it, what does Excavator cost per acre?
So Excavator on a per acre basis to the producer is around $14, and that's, again, we're looking at that, and that'd be a per acre. So we're looking at we feel like we're providing about on our campaign providing about $113 in value, and we went through kind of the multiple ways that's coming about. So we feel like at 14 we're open that to providing a significant value back to the producer.
Excellent. We're right at the time here. So if anyone has any last minute questions, now is the time. Oh, it looks like we did get some additional info about that REVLINE one. Isn't there more or different REVLINE products available in 2022 than the past? Has the formulation changed, and how do the new products compare?
Yeah, we do. So at Meristem, we have a REVLINE product line. And so anytime you see REVLINE, it's typically root ball related, or it's some sort of, I'll call it a PGR relation. Doesn't mean it is a PGR, but a PGR relationship. So as we mentioned, REVLINE Hopper Throttle, that addition of that pink microbe, that co-pack is to through a biological be able to increase rooting and early emergence and even emergence. And so we've got information direct from Meristem where they actually support that data as well, and we'd be glad to also share that with anybody that wants to take a look at that. And then as we get in season, we do have some REVLINE products. We have one that we didn't talk about yet on this webinar. I can quickly touch on. We have REVLINE Advanced. If you're set up for in-furrow, we have REVLINE Advanced, which is basically a 3-way plant growth regulator that's proven, been on the market for a long time. Many different brands of them, but we have the one we call ours REVLINE 2.0, and that REVLINE we've co-packed that with a biological, and that biological is, again, different. We talked about the biologicals in Excavator and what they do. We talked about the biologicals in the hopper throttle and what they do. The biologicals within REVLINE Advanced, that is a product we call NutriFuels. We've taken NutriFuel and we've co-packed it with our REVLINE 3-way PGR, and that NutriFuel, when added to the REVLINE, it is those biologicals. Those are that has 8 different microbes that basically solubilize nutrients and increase availability of nutrients from the soil profile. So now, as we talked about nutrients, biologicals that increase the nutrients available from residue. These biologicals in REVLINE Advanced that go in furrow, if you are set up for a liquid in furrow system, those actually solubilize and increase availability of nutrients from the soil. Plus, will fixate nitrogen as well. We've actually had it in some trials where it actually outperformed the proven product. And that's not a bash on the proven product. The proven product focuses more on nitrogen only. And I joked around with somebody this morning, said I like to eat steak, but I'm told I need a well-rounded meal. So being I can't only have steak, I need to have some vegetables. I need to have some other things. That's why I believe REVLINE Advanced brings value to the additional value over just nitrogen fixing, is that we're also solubilizing potassium, phosphorus, and other nutrients that the crop needs. Further than that, beyond that, we do have other REVLINE products in our portfolio that are PGR focused. We look at it in an early season application, and we look at in a late season reproductive application that are focused particularly on what is going on in that plant at that time. PGRs for a long time have been kind of a generic terminology, and everybody thinks, well, this PGR has the same benefit across the cropping system, and it's not. There are certain PGRs that benefit in furrow at the seed. There's certain PGRs that have benefit in an early vegetative application, and there's certain PGRs that trigger what we want that plant focusing its energy on late season during a reproductive application.
All right. Looks like we're a little over our time here, so just to wrap it up, today's presentation and audio will be made available on the Strip-Till Farmer website if you'd like to review what we talked about today, or see any more of the slides, or share it with your team. You'll also receive an email within 48 hours of the recorded presentation with the recording. So watch for your email for that, and we'll also have it in the Strip-Till Farmer daily email newsletter. Just want to thank Peter and Chad for joining me today, Meristem for doing this, and everybody here for joining us for today's digital demo. You can reach out to any of us to let us know what you thought of the live event, and if there are any topics you'd like Strip-Till Farmer to cover in future webinars, please send me an email or give me a call. Thanks everyone for joining. Peter and Chad, any last thoughts you wanted to add?
I just like to say we've really, from a biological, from a micronutrient standpoint, I mean, where we've came over the last number of years, evolving this into products that really work, and knowing the timing of these products, the placement of these products, it's really incredible. There's a big future in this. We're excited to help anybody out. Anybody needs anything, always feel free to reach out to us.
Yeah, guys, Michaela, I really appreciate the opportunity. Appreciate everybody taking the time here. If you want more information, go to meristemag.com. Check out the products. I know there's some more questions here that maybe didn't get answered. Reach out to us. Glad to take any questions we can. And there's, like, say, if you're looking for tech sheets or labels or anything like that, we try to make all of those available on our website. And then, so if you're looking for, what specifically might be in a product or anything like that, we're pretty transparent. And so if you don't find it on the website, reach out to us. And appreciate the opportunity, and appreciate Chad for taking the time here this morning as well. And we appreciate that partnership with Grip Farms. So thank you.
My pleasure.
Great. Thank you, everybody, and have a great rest of your day.